Good, Kate. Cool. I need to take it back for a second. Sorry.
Okay, that's fine. I didn't do anything.
No, it's because I didn't turn screen sharing on for everybody. It doesn't let me do it when I'm not the host. Okay, whenever you're ready, if you want to let everyone in.
Just a minute, my screen got a little wonky. All right, going for it.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a second. Give everyone a chance to filter in. All right, welcome. Welcome to Heartland Education. Today's session is how to work with your rep in this new age. My name is Larry Law. I'm the Executive Director of the Great Lakes Independent Booksellers Association, one of the co-directors of Heartland. I'm joined today, of course, by Carrie Obrey and Kate Scott, the directors of Midwest Independent Booksellers Association and our Heartland partners. Since this is a rep focus session today, I wanted to mention to please check out the Rep Picks presentation page on the Heartland website. This year, all of our Rep Picks presentations are separately recorded and uploaded, so you can watch them all individually. Kate will throw a link to that into the chat. I'd also like to mention a few of our upcoming events. This Thursday, we have our annual Heartland Booksellers Award ceremony, hosted by Heartland favorite Isaac Fitzgerald, author of How to Be a Pirate and the forthcoming Dirtbag, Massachusetts. The winners will be announced live, and the event will conclude the evening with the presenting of the Voice of the Heartland Award to Louise Erdrich, and that's at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. And then next week, Wednesday, October 20th, we have an author event. Bellwether Books, Authors Imagine a Future America. That's at 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. That event is 6 Midwestern sci-fi, cli-fi, and speculative fiction authors. So please join us for that. And then on Thursday, October 28th, we have another author event. That's at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and that is Elements of an Excellent Book Club. So please join us for that. And Kate will throw a link to our events page into the chat as well. Now I would like to introduce our educators for today. We have sales rep for Macmillan Publishers and Hellman, sales rep for Simon & Schuster, Cara, Nesi, sales rep for IPS, John Tewsley, and I've heard wonderful things about this next sales rep, Sandra Law from Abraham Associates, and of course our moderator for today, sales rep from Macmillan Publishers, Melissa Weisberg. I'm going to turn it over to Melissa.
Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming. I'm Melissa Weisberg. I'm a member of the GLIBA board, and I am a rep for Macmillan Publishers. A few years ago, I sat on a panel very similar to this. At the time, the organizer was trying to create a panel that had one big house rep, a smaller house rep, a phone rep, and a commission rep. And when I was trying to put this panel together, I was trying to be just as thoughtful. And then I realized right now we are all phone reps, which is why we're here today, I guess. The last 18 months has been hard. It's been strange for all of us. It doesn't look like it's going to go away anytime soon. So in light of that, we thought this panel would be appropriate. And though this panel is entitled How to Work with Your Rep in This New Age, at the end, I'm going to throw it out to you guys and have you tell us what your life has been like and what we need to keep in mind in order to work well with you. But now let's get this panel underway. Panelists, I want you to introduce yourselves. Let's start with Ann Hellman.
Hi, I'm also Macmillan rep. I cover Illinois, Indiana, Southern Wisconsin, Kansas, and Missouri. I have been doing this, I don't even know the number of years, but since the days of paper catalogs and physical inventories. So I've been through a lot of changes and a lot of predictions about the end of independent bookstores. So I am happy to still be here.
John?
Well, hey, everybody. John Tewsley here. I'm based in the Ann Arbor, Michigan area, and I sell the PGW, Two Rivers, and IPS brands at Ingram. I've been with Ingram for about 8 years now, but prior to that, I was with Borders for a long time. And before that, I started as a bookseller in a Bassett bookstore in Las Vegas. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I cover Michigan, parts of Ohio, Wisconsin, Iowa, and some other states in the mix too.
Thank you.
Was that me? I sound cut out a little bit.
Oh, you were
You're muted,
muted.
Melissa.
Yes, go ahead, Cara.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Cara Nesi. I sell to the Midwest. I'm one of the two reps here from Simon & Schuster who do. I have been selling actively for about 5 years. And then before that, I was the indie assistant to the team. So I've been in indie this whole time. Been happy to be here.
Thank you. And last but not least, Sandra.
Hey, I'm Sandra Law with Abraham Associates. I am the commission rep on this call. We have about 30 publishers and sideline companies, and I cover Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and parts of Illinois. I've just had my anniversary this week. It's 4 years with Abraham Associates, and before that, I was an indie bookstore manager and bookseller.
That is awesome. Happy anniversary. For your first question, I'm going to ask you guys to describe how your job has changed in the last 18 months. Cara, do you want to go first?
Sure, I definitely can. So because I started out as the phone rep for the territory, my job hasn't changed too much. But what has changed is how I interact with my buyers and what I do on sales calls. I would say less pushy in terms of what stores should be taking or should not be taking. And I really sort of pay attention to what buyers are saying about how much stock they can take, what their expectations are for the next few months as we talk about that season, and just sort of meeting everybody where they're at, because I think that's the best way to sort of handle what's happened, as opposed to, being a little bit more concerned before the pandemic with, what my number was for each store or what they were taking. It seems to matter a lot less now, and is more just about what y'all need, like as we're talking.
Excellent. Sandra?
So my change happened a little bit before the pandemic. It happened kind of the summer before the pandemic, just from health issues with pregnancy. But I would say a big change for me, along with Cara, is just kind of, giving stores space, and not pushing on them to get their orders to me, as fast as what we would usually do in seasons past. And also customer service. The customer service aspect of my job has definitely increased a lot. I would say I'm on the phone with my publishers' customer service about 60 to 70% more than what I was before the pandemic. And with them also having less staffing for their customer service, they're just kind of giving less information to us when they're confirming orders. So that's a big part of it, is having to do a lot more follow-up with my publishers and distributors to get that information for my customers.
Anne?
Very similar to what Cara and Sandra had said. Figuring out, for the fall, it was trying to figure out which books might take off that they want to stock up on, and what books then maybe they can do without because there isn't enough space or money in the budget. So it's been a slightly different idea of what to take and what to maybe you don't need, along with much more customer service starting just as, you know, the very beginning of COVID when stores shut down and some wanted their orders and some didn't, and figuring out what was shipping and what wasn't, and moving books because of paper shortages or printer shortages. So a lot more customer service. Thankfully, I'm just sitting at my desk and I have time to do all that now. So there, if and when we go back out, it'll be different, but right now it's a lot more customer service and sort of a different idea of what to suggest.
And John?
Yes, good point, Ann. We definitely need to get back out to stores. That's where the magic happens, and fingers crossed in 2022 we'll be able to do that. But you know, I started out as a phone rep initially, so that part of my job I was kind of prepared for, the phone appointments and Zoom appointments. But without all that travel, that does free up some time to do all that customer service stuff you guys have talked about. But also I've been able to look at reporting a little more and dig down into some numbers and work on section assortments for accounts. You know, the front list buying is a bit challenging. We'll get into more of that a bit later, but you know, the important thing is to try your best to keep in front of the front list, especially given the supply chain fiasco that's going to continue to haunt us for the next few months. So,
Thank you.
Melissa,
Definitely. Go ahead, Larry. Yeah, I thought.
Did you see that? You want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. This is from Joanna, I believe from BookBug. I'd love for reps to comment on plans for supply notices given the fresh challenge of this right now. I love, and I'm reading more and more frequently, targeted e-messages and newsletters from reps and wondering if there are plans for specific supply related updates this quarter.
Okay, go ahead, John.
yeah, we Joanna, thanks for that question. We do have a hot indie title document that we're looking at every week. And you will be getting a note from me about some titles you'll be wanting to take a look at in the next week or so. So there is that reporting for us.
My team is actually discussing this question as we speak. So I am missing the update from my managers, but certainly if update emails of what is going to move or what supply chain issues we're having title by title is helpful, we can certainly provide that.
Sandra, how about you?
And yeah, for me, just because I cover so many different publishers, I do try to send out email updates. Chronicle is really good about sending us updates about what's available to ship for puzzles and you know, games and things like that. But you know, I try to share as much as I can of what information is given to us. But we have been talking with more of our publishers to hopefully get more information like that as well, that we can share book-wise and with other lines.
Anne?
Yeah, we're trying. I've sent out a list of books we expect to be big. The trick comes when there's a book no one expected. And often by the time we find out it's popped, it's too late and we're already out of stock. So we're working on it. We're trying to figure out a way to identify those, get the information out before the books are all gone. It's tough.
It is, definitely is. You guys all sort of touched on how your sales appointments have changed in the last 18 months. Please elaborate on that. And also, how would you like to see your sales appointments going forward? And please include best practices for virtual/phone appointments and for, please let these happen, in-person appointments coming soon, hopefully. John?
Yeah, for me, as I said, I started as a phone rep, so I did have the sort of logistics of those types of appointments set down, but in general, it's just a lot less time that you can spend on the phone. There's little time to linger over a favorite title. There's no eye contact typically, and that certainly doesn't help. But you know, some of the other things, you know, there's been quite a few changes at the store level as to who buys what. So we've had to figure out, maybe this person's buying kids now, or we have a new assistant buyer who's buying your list. Inevitable tech breakdowns, and I had a bird in my attic once, so it's been run the gamut of things. But the best practice for me is to have a first pass at your order done prior to a meeting, even if it's your gut instinct. Just go with it and have something that we can start, because I imagine all of us have really long lists. So having that first pass before we talk is essential. And, don't be afraid to say you only have an hour, so we can tailor our presentation, because like I said, there's a lot of books to get through, and those two things will help tremendously.
Anne?
Yeah, I know everybody's busy, so I hate to even say this, but not only do your order in advance, but as far in advance as possible, so that I have time to look through it. Sometimes I have multiple appointments a day. I try to get them done early, but I know how busy you guys are. I know how long our list is, so I get it. But you asked, so that would be something I would love. Also, I love notes. Please leave me notes. What I miss is walking into the store and having a bookseller say to me, hey, I read a galley, or I read one of your authors. I really miss that. Some people put it in the notes, even if you didn't like a book, even if somebody tried to read a book and didn't like it, that's still really good for me to know. And it's kind of the closest thing I have to feedback from the buyer or booksellers or anyone. So whether it's just requests for galleys or that someone on the staff read and liked a book, I would love to see that in the notes. The notes are my favorite thing. And also any books that you just want to discuss, that you have your number, but you want to talk about it. Because I sort of miss that, your number looks fine, you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with it, so we don't talk about the book, and I really miss that.
Sandra?
I'm going to agree with John on just kind of going through the catalogs before you meet with us, just having something prepared as far as starting an order, even or even having one completed that we can review. I have a lot of publishers, so this season, definitely, I've been reaching out to people and telling them, like, specifically, if you would like me to do a suggested order for you before you even review the catalogs, let me know. And then I had so many requests, I got very bogged down on that. But just because time is such a precious thing for all of us right now, it's just not really realistic to go through every single catalog line by line with each store. So just letting specifically commission reps, but all reps know, which publishers or lines you want to focus on. If you have something prepared, amazing. If it's a little too overwhelming, please let us know, what you want to focus on, and then we can have something prepared for you. But just having a little bit of preparation to go into the meeting is so helpful. And we spend a ton of time on our Edelweiss markups. I know our group in general, it takes us weeks up to a month or more to go through every single publisher, because we really try to curate state by state to put information in there for you, regional things, and just stuff that's, try to be hyper focused for our stores of what, would really work for you.
And Cara?
Yeah, basically the same thing. I think the ways that my calls have changed is mostly just based on what the bookstores are needing or telling me at the time. So if you need, a call to only last an hour, that's what we're going to do. If you need, suggestions up front, I do make highlighted and featured titles throughout my markups. Those you really should look at as sort of my suggested list, and then we can get down into the nitty gritty. I definitely prefer to have, a draft of an order, even if it's really rough ahead of time to go through, because that way my suggestions on top of that are much more curated and much more specific. And I've also sort of changed in the sales calls so that my suggestions aren't too crazy. So if you want to talk about a book or have questions, certainly with the notes section, as Anne mentioned, or, on the call, definitely bring up those titles, because, otherwise they might not be brought up if we're going line, we're not going to go line by line as we might have in the past. So certainly that's very important and really helpful. But just being as, clear with me and my fellow reps about what you need, and we best are going to try and meet those needs.
Excellent.
I just wanted to add, sorry, one more thing. A lot of publishers are moving away from paper catalogs now. So if that has been your tried and true, you really need to try to move into Edelweiss. Not only, like I said, do we have very curated notes for you in there, but Candlewick doesn't even do a paper catalog anymore. Chronicle hasn't done one for the last couple of seasons. So it's bigger publishers that are no longer doing paper catalogs. So.
And that's true. That's been true of some of the bigger publishers for a while. I know Macmillan got rid of our paper catalogs 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. So yeah. So buyers should be used to it by now, definitely. And last but not least, because we haven't had some of these discussions with our accounts, because our appointments are taking less time because we're not in the stores and we're not having this face-to-face. But you guys know maybe some of what your publishers are thinking, and maybe you don't, but what do you think your publishers' expectations will be for your appointments into the future? Do you see yourselves walking into stores? Do you see yourselves being on the phone more? What do you think is going to happen? I know nobody has a crystal ball, but it's nice to put it out there so buyers have an expectation maybe next year. Anne, do you want to start?
Yeah, I actually do know there are definitely going to be changes. We will not be going to every store every season anymore. Probably one in-person visit a year, and then the rest on the phone. Just we've had some changes. A lot of us have a lot more accounts. There are the customer service issues to deal with. So we will get back into bookstores someday, but not as regularly as we had been in the before times.
And Sandra?
It's probably going to be the same as that. It's not going to be as on the road as it was before, but definitely trying to at least see each store at least, once per year, to kind of be in person, see what space you have, what new things you have going on in the store, talk with booksellers. But yeah, it's just travel is a lot different now. And it's been a proven method. I know it's not perfect, but Zoom and phone and email and Edelweiss does work, so, and with people having less time, it's just, not realistic to sit with a rep for an entire day, which is, how it used to be for me. And I loved it, just getting to sit in the store, but, that's just not probably going to be a reality going forward.
Cara?
So it's hard for me to say since I was a phone rep prior to this. So I will probably be staying as a phone rep. It does sound like some of the other booksellers who did travel might travel again, but I don't know what that's going to look like, and it's still a little early for Simon in terms of our planning to say. So,
did you pick up more accounts during COVID?
So this is actually interesting. So I lost some bookstores because they handed me some educational accounts. So that kind of changed, but other reps did sort of, Simon had a whole readjustment with the educational team. So that changed a bit for everybody, but I know Leah did pick up more accounts as a result of that.
Right, I saw that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
John?
I wonder what comes first, me getting into a bookstore or having to go to a sales conference. I'm hoping it's into a bookstore first, but it'll be a hybrid model of some sort. But all of our publishers and Ingram in general definitely supportive of us all getting back together. So,
and that's what we all hope. Honestly, I know I miss it terribly. And I know all of the reps that have been used to being on the road miss it. I did see a question come through. about Edelweiss Analytics. Do reps use Edelweiss Analytics and find it helpful? And what seems to be the percentage of stores that use it? Very good question. Sandra, do you use Edelweiss Analytics?
I do, reference that, but there is, I mean, I have quite a few accounts that still don't use that. So it's just kind of based off of, what I know works for them within their store. So.
Okay. Anne, do you use it?
I don't use the analytics much. I have a few stores that are really great at it, and they share their information with me in terms of what sections are working and types of books and that sort of thing. But I personally don't use it very much.
It leads me to a question actually about above the tree line. Do you as reps find above the tree line, customers using above the tree line incredibly helpful? Do you look at that when suggesting books? Is that something going forward, because you're not going to be in the store as much, that would be helpful to you if the store was connected to above the tree line? John?
Yeah, I'm a big data guy anyway, so the more the merrier for me. If you got your comp sales and Edelweiss, and it's just extremely helpful if you got the right ones to go through a catalog and identify the key titles for your store.
And Cara?
Yeah, I definitely find analytics very useful. Not a lot of my stores use it, but if it is present, I will definitely take advantage. It definitely helps me to think of, both those comps, but also, historical data for titles, whether or not I can use that is really, really great.
I think so too. All right, well then, back to all of you booksellers. What would you like us to know for when we start setting up meetings for you in the future seasons? Anybody?
You repeat the question. Sorry, I was reading a comment.
Oh, it's all good. What do booksellers want us reps to know for future seasons? How will it work for them? How will we work better with them? What do we need to know about your day-to-day lives? What do we need to know about what your life is like right now? When setting up an appointment, when scheduling you, when calling you, or having you meet us on video. Tell us what you need from us.
Joanna, you have a good comment in the chat. Do you want to, I don't want to make you read it, but it's good.
Yeah, no, and I said several things, but first, in answer to Melissa's question, I think universally is we miss you, right? We adore our reps, and the relationship is so important to so many of us, and we want to do our best to maintain that relationship, right? So what can we do better, right? Because we need to do better also, and B, I can only speak for me, but we're ready, right? We've been in crazy mode for 18 months, as we all have been, but we're ready to keep moving. And we kind of have found the ways that our store can operate. And we like a lot of the things that we see from what different houses are doing. And I'd like to see a lot of it endure. And I think that's a theme too, overall, with publishing and bookselling. We've learned a lot about the efficiencies and the benefits of how meetings can go more swiftly. And we probably should have done better 5 years ago, moving a little bit more swiftly. And that's great. But yeah, I put some practical things that I love for ideas, across the board. All of the houses have done some of these things or one of these things for me. And I want to thank them for that. And if you want to borrow those ideas that some others are doing, I would welcome that. The one thing I do miss as a kids buyer is seeing the actual beautiful books, right? That I can't quite glean from a distance, and that really have a big impact on whether or not I bring it in, because I actually can see it and I'm not just reading the description. So the few of you that have those kinds of titles, I personally and my kids buyers are definitely wanting to see a visual or have a visual meeting, even if it's only for those 6 must-see beauties.
I don't even know if we're doing paper FNGs anymore. Do you know if Simon is, Cara?
We are.
Okay.
Are Joanna, are the FNGs, if a full FNG is in Edelweiss, is that enough, or you really want to see a finished book? Or FNG?
Usually
paper?
those are enough. I'm thinking more, and maybe this relates to, I think of Sandra's publishers a little bit more, and how we used to sit and I used to actually flip like the board book that had the beautiful like surprise peeking element, or something that you just really can't experience. And that's the sell, right? For the customer, and it's the sell for the buyer. So that's what I'm missing. And I trust Sandra will shout that out to me, and I trust her. It's still, are you feeling that way with any of your certain books? Like, gosh, they really need to hold this, right? And can we get a sample, or can I get a sample so that I can actually like describe it in more detail or show it to them over Zoom?
Yeah, I actually love that idea. And I think I'll take that back to Emily and John of maybe doing like a few nights per season where we just show off like the beautiful children's books that we have, because we are getting some samples. We're not getting as much as we used to at all, but we are still getting some that we, could really show off. The problem we're facing is that they're coming so late sometimes, and your orders are already placed. So that's kind of what we're running into. But I do try to, once I've physically seen a book, if it's something super special, I really do try to highlight that in my Edelweiss markups and things like that, or when I'm, having an appointment with a customer. But I love that idea. I think that's a great one that, something we could possibly do, at least via Zoom, if we're not able to send you the physical copy.
Yeah, and then the last part of my question, I mean, there are other things that I thank you for, but last part is like, how can we really mimic what you used to do, several of you, and hopefully you will be able to do again, which is like wandering the store and seeing how we've changed displays, what kinds of sections we've built, where something might fit in, what our identity has shifted into, right? Like, how can we, and I think about like sending pictures, and I don't do that, but like, is there a way, or are there ideas that you've had other stores sort of really convey some sort of shift in their store, or like just remind you what they look like and how they're featuring titles?
Yes, absolutely. I love to see sort of like, so we write reports on the territories for the publishers, but I've had stores like send me, a collection of photos and then just, we changed this whole section into this, or, we shrunk the kid section by half and then made it into this. Those things are so helpful for photos, and just like a couple of short paragraphs about what the thought process was, or what you guys are trying to do. Also, because that'll help with sales calls, and that'll help with, how focused I am about meeting you guys in terms of what your needs are. I would love to see that. And some stores were doing that even before the pandemic, but very few. So I would definitely take more.
I would say I really don't want to add anything else to your things to do plate. Even just talking about it, when I mentioned notes in Edelweiss, we have a new horror line. If you put in there, hey, we just started a horror section or something like that. So we can then talk about those books, which otherwise, if the numbers looked good, we might not discuss. So even if, pictures would be great, but again, I don't want to add more things for you to do. So you can just tell me. I'd love to hear those things when we talk.
And I don't know if this would go for everybody, but if you're thinking ahead about, displays that you want to do, and you're not able to kind of like think of enough books to fill that, reach out, and, I might have a few books that I can suggest for you, to put onto that display. So.
And I'm going to just second that also, that yes, we're all really busy, but we're all just sitting around too. So pick our brains, ask us for stuff. I mean, we're not walking into your stores anymore with whatever we were walking in with before, but we're happy to help you advertise and push and do. So yeah, to pick our brains. I think I'm missing questions, Larry.
Yeah, there's a few. So there's some comments. Let's see. Buying for so I'll just start where we last left off. Buying for an entire season several months away all at one time is difficult these days for many reasons. Reminders of big titles coming up the next couple of months would be helpful, like don't miss stocking up on these titles in March and April, sent in January, February. That was more of a comment. Jenny Sheridan wrote, please let your reps know that if you need physical FNGs and ARCs, the houses are seriously thinking of doing away with these materials forever. Comment about packaging. I know this is outside of your realm, but could you encourage your warehouses to do a better job with packing? It's sad to open a box full of beautiful but unsaleable books and zero packing materials, and especially now when we're having supply chain problems. Please don't.
I'll jump in on that one. Okay, I have to make sure Larry muted so I didn't echo. So with that, if you receive a box, I know it's a pain, but if it's damaged or there's no packaging, please take a photo, send that to us, because then we can take it back to them. For me, that's what they always ask for. I always report it if somebody lets me know that, the packaging is, not well with the boxes, because that's the last thing we want is for you to receive these books that have already probably taken much longer for you to get than what you would hope for, and then to have them not be sellable. But they really do want to have, some kind of visual that they can then take back to the warehouse.
Just know we're on your side. We have endless discussions with the publishers and the warehouse people about damages and packing, and we're working on it. We got your back.
Oh, you're muted, Melissa. That kind of brings us up to date, but yeah, there were no other additional questions in there.
Great.
I just want to say one other comment that Anna had was about virtual rep nights, and I'm happy to do those. Rep nights were one of my favorite things to do, whether for customers or for staff. I love them both. It's not the same on Zoom, but I am still happy to do them, and I think most reps are, because I've seen a lot of you on Zoom.
Absolutely. Thank you, Anne. Does anybody have anything else before I throw this back over to Larry to say goodbye? Anything, anyone?
I'll say one more thing on like bottom line importance, because again, I don't know if we're in a different spot, but like we continued every dollar matters, right? And we saw a lot of enthusiasm last year for specials and really proactive and aggressive offers. We're continuing to see that, but from my perspective, they've tapered off, which is healthy and needed, I guess. And we love specials, and finding ways to make specials as like palpable for us as possible is really great, especially when it's connected to certain titles, which I know, Melissa, for Macmillan, you build the Edelweiss collections and you send them out. I love that. What else? How else can specials be like really used to our benefit? Sandra has a great newsletter with all the specials, and then you sort of sift through it. I just want to say specials are still important. We're looking at them and motivated by them. They make a big difference to our bottom line. And I tell your houses, I hope they're making a difference in seeing like how frequently we order or which titles we're ordering. But they do, and they're so important to us still on our books, like what we're trying to do with cost of goods to make our profit, right?
I know, we'll take that back. Great, thank you. Anybody else? All right, Larry.
Awesome. Thank you. This was great. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Sandra. Thank you, John. And thank you, Cara. This session was recorded. It will be available later this week on the Heartland website. And please don't forget to join us this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for our Heartland Booksellers Award ceremony. Thank you all again. It was good to see you.
We miss you all.
We miss you all.
Miss you too.